Hello, everyone, and welcome to my podcast. Thank you so much for being here. And today we will be summarizing a very interesting book, which is The 48 Laws of Power of Robert Greene. Yes, The 48 Laws of Power. This is a very valuable book, also a big one. It has over 400 pages. So, I really understand that not everyone has time to read that, and so we will be summarizing this book for you, and you're welcome. As I mentioned before, this book is very thoughtful and very controversial, so please be aware. Interestingly, author Robert Greene writes a rich variety of books so threatening to some people that they were banned, for instance, in ancient Chinese. Yes, so it might seem that anyone who follows all the laws in detail will turn out to be a very unpleasant person. However, in my belief, anyone who aspires to any level of success in any organization or any profession should read that book, at least to have an insight on how the society can work. It is highly recommended to read that book on a regular basis, just one law a day, to absorb the insights slowly and contemplate on it. However, in this video, we will be discussing 12 laws at once, and there will be next videos discussing next laws for you. So I hope you are as much excited as I do. Let's start it. First, let's start with the definition of power and how it applies to human beings. So, according to the author, power is a very fundamental, so essentially human condition that when you feel you have no power over people or events, you are very likely to be depressed. Everyone needs power. The more they get it, the more they want it. Power might seem like a drug, but interestingly, it does not weaken you. On the contrary, it makes you stronger. Of course, it is considered somehow impolite and vulgar to seek power forthrightly, and that's why, according to the author, those who want power must seem to have no interest in it, and they must pretend they care only about others. The person who best projects the image of not caring about power will become most powerful. Yes, this is very controversial. Let me know in the comment section below what's your thought about that. Okay, so now I feel like we're ready to move to the law section. Let's do it. Law number 1 is ratatatam. Are you ready? But are you really ready? Never outshine the master. Yes, never eclipse your superiors. They are probably accurately aware of their defects and incompetence, as everyone has some, right? And if you make them look bad, they will try to crush you, which of course you don't want to happen. Instead, you must prove your usefulness and never outshine them. Law number 2 is never put too much trust in friends. Learn how to use your enemies. Yes, this is very controversial and gave me a lot to think about. So, according to the author, friends will betray you out of envy. They have a regrettable tendency to expect too much of you because of your friendship. So, don't hire or appoint friends, hire enemies. The enemy whom you forgive will always feel that he must prove his loyalty. To give an interesting example, the book says about Michael III, the Byzantine emperor from the 9th century. So basically, when he assumed the throne, he was very inexperienced ruler surrounded by many intriguers and murderers. So he really needed someone he could trust at that time. In effect, he decided to employ Basilius, his best friend, as a courtier. Basilius had no experience in government and politics, and so he was sent by the king to the best school to be ready for the job. After that, the crude peasant quickly became a sophisticated courtier. The only problem with him was money. Basilius had never enough. In effect, Michael doubled, tripled his salary, and he even married him to his own mistress. But Basilius had never enough, and more trouble was to come as he didn't have any appreciation and wanted more power for himself, to this extent that he poured poison into Michael's ear. Sad but very true story. You can say that Michael created a monster. He allowed Basilius to see power up too close and always wanted more. Okay, next one up is law number 3. Conceal your intentions. If people don't know what goal you are seeking, they cannot defend against you. So keep your intentions secret. Move behind a smoke screen. At that point, the author gives an interesting quote, and let me cite it for you. A sheep's skin. A sheep never marauds. A sheep never deceives. A sheep is magnificently damp and docile. With a sheepskin on his back, a fox can pass right into the chicken's coop. That's the lesson for you. Law number 4. Always say less than necessary. Spare your words. The more you talk, the more you expose yourself, and then the more familiar you become. The more familiar you become, the less awesome you seek. So speak sparingly. Even if you're saying something banal, it will seem original if you make it vague, open-ended, and sphinx-like. However, silence and saying less than necessary must be practiced with caution and in the right situations. Otherwise, it can arouse suspicion, so yes, be wise. Okay, next one up is law number 5. So much depends on reputation. Guard it with your life. Protect your reputation. Reputation can defend you in any attack, but it is useless once damaged. So, never tolerate or ignore any threat of a blemish to your reputation. Stay sharp. Law number 6 is court attention at all costs. You must make sure you're yourself the center of attention. People judge on the basis of what they see. They do not know what they don't see. So, forget in toiling in obscurity and make a spectacle of yourself. Law number 7 is get others to do the work for you, but always take credit. Admittedly, it's nice to take all the credit for other people's work, but it is very effective, and you would be a fool to do otherwise. You will seem like a miracle of speed and competence, and no one will remember those who made your success possible, so they can't threaten you. Let's give an example of Nikola Tesla and Edison. As you probably know, Nikola Tesla, a very famous Serbian-American inventor, used to come with the conclusion that science has nothing to do with politics and petty rivalries that exist, of course, all over the world. And so he didn't even try to care about his public fame and riches. In effect, it was very easy for others to steal his patents and got the glory for themselves. In this example, it was Edison who once said, he doesn't need to be a scientist, as he spots new trends and opportunities, then hire the best in the field to do the work for him. In effect, his name is much better known than Tesla's and is associated with more inventions. Law number 8 says, make other people come to you. Use bait if necessary. Lure people. When you make other people move first, you are more in control. Power means being in control, so never act first. Make adversaries come to you. Law number 9. Win through your actions, never through argument. Instead of arguing, which create losers, win by acting. Don't argue. Instead, demonstrate that you are right by your deeds. There is one historical event that expresses very well this law. Nikita Khrushchev, a Soviet politician who worked as a first secretary of the Communist Party of the Soviet Union, was once interrupted in the middle of a speech in which he was denouncing the crimes of Stalin. "You are a colleague of Stalin," the heckler yelled. "Why didn't you stop him then?" Khrushchev apparently could not see the heckler and barked out, "Who said that?" No hand went up. No one moved a muscle. After a few seconds of tense silence, Khrushchev finally said, "Now, you know why I didn't stop him." So yes, instead of arguing that anyone facing Stalin was afraid knowing that the slightest sign of rebellion would mean a certain death, he had made them feel what it was like to face Stalin. He made them feel paranoia, the fear of speaking up, the terror of confronting the leader. The demonstration was visceral and no more argument was necessary. That's how he explained himself, and it worked perfectly. 10. Infection. Avoid the unhappy and unlucky. Unhappiness and bad luck are contagious. You can die from someone else's misery. And according to the author, emotional states are as infectious as diseases. The key point is avoid losers and hang out with winners. There is nothing to be gained from associating with those who infect you with their misery. And there is only power and good fortune to be obtained by associating with the fortunate. 11. Learn to keep people dependent on you. Make people need you. It is good to have people dependent on you. The more you are relied on, the more freedom you have. So keep them dependent. Then you are in control. Never teach them that much that they can get without you or compete with you. Keep a secret or two that maintains your power. Okay, guys, now last but not least for today's video is law number 12. Use selective honesty and generosity to disarm your victim. Tell part of the truth and be tactically generous. When you are honest and generous, people relax and begin to trust you. Then they are vulnerable and effectively in your power. So, seem generous and honest. Give people gifts. Remember the story of the Trojan horse? It worked admirably well. The story of the Trojan horse describes how Greek soldiers were able to take the city of Troy by hiding in a giant horse supposedly left as an offering to the goddess Athena. Okay guys, that's all I have for you for today's video. The next laws will be available for you in the next few weeks, so yes, keep tuned. Make sure you follow me on all social media platforms if you haven't done so. Also, make sure to give this video a thumbs up if you haven't already, and please comment below. I am very curious on what your thought is about this book, what law you find super true and useful, and what law might, for instance, hurt your feelings. I love you guys so much. Thank you so much for watching, and I cannot wait to see you in my next video. Mwah.